Welcome back to the 50 to 70 podcast, brought to you in association with 3FE Coffee. Check it out on 3fe.com or in many of their fabulous locations around Dublin. I'm Dave Humphreys.
I'm Cormac Singleton.
And we are back after a slight week hiatus. We apologise for leaving a temporary void in your life, but we do have some good reasons for it. This is the bit where it sounds like our podcast is already being far too successful. We were in St. Moritz.
We were in St. Moritz at the ICE event.
And I was also doing some off-roading in an electric vehicle in the Sahara Desert. So, bit of a mixed week of stuff. And because of the various travel logistics and all that's involved, it was just a little bit too tricky to tie us down into one place to do a podcast, and we didn't want to do it over a crappy Zoom connection. So anyway, we are here. We are back. How are things?
Very, very good. And just to note that we will do a proper episode on our adventure to St. Moritz. We have a video that's going to come out that will tie in with that podcast. So if you don't hear too much about it, this one, it's coming.
Don't worry. We have been so busy for these last couple of weeks. We have so many things in the pipeline. If you don't hit that subscribe button right now, hit follow, do whatever you have to do, because
I can't believe it's free.
I can't believe we're providing this podcast to you for free. Anyway, so yes, I've been in Morocco.
You have. You've been off getting a tan.
I did not get a tan because I don't tan, and I had my Factor 900 sun cream on.
So basically, there's a bunch of people who say, I can't buy an EV because I need to go to
the shops and drop little Hugo to school.
So therefore, I don't have enough range. So Skoda invited you out to Morocco, or not just you, many people, out to Morocco to take some EVs.
An Enyaq to the Sahara Desert, all the way down to the Algerian border. It actually turns out at one point we may have accidentally maybe crossed the Algerian border, but yeah. So the Enyaq, if you don't know, the Skoda Enyaq is kind of its version of the ID4 or the Audi Q4 e-tron. They're all the same sort of thing. So they're MEB platform. And basically, I actually think it's the best of the bunch in the Volkswagen family, but they've updated it for 2024. The battery is the same, but you've now got a little bit more range, hence the trip that we're doing. But they've also given it a boatload more power, so that's also always welcome.
And the Sahara, if you don't know, isn't well known for its abundance of EV chargers.
We didn't exactly stumble across a huge bank of Ionity fast chargers down there. We did find the last charger before you literally don't have a charger for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilometers.
Did it have a Tesla badly parked and not charging?
No, it wouldn't be a Tesla badly parked. It would be like a Hyundai Tucson or something parked across two spaces. EV. I'm only going into the shops for a minute.
Or a G35 series.
Yes, any of those sort of things. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. Morocco, if you've never been, it is a pretty spectacular country. It's one of those things that it is certainly probably one of the most European, Western of the African countries in that region. But when you're there, the landscape is just incredible.
And isn't all desert?
No, it isn't all desert at all. That's the thing, because you kind of have, like, we were out in parts of in Sahara, the desert, and I'll get to that in a minute. But actually, there are bits of it that are super lush greenery. You have other bits of it that are so rocky and barren you could literally be on Mars, and you go through these kind of vast areas of just literally nothing. There's just a road that goes through there. Now, this is one of the most surprising things about it, is that the roads in Morocco are fantastic. You might think, hang on, this place, like, there are people that still live in literally mud huts here. The roads, the surfaces are absolutely incredible pretty much anywhere you go, as long as you're on tarmac. We did go off tarmac at several points, but that was fine. So the whole point of the trip was really, we wanted to sort of showcase what EVs can do, how far you can go, blah, 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 blah. We flew into a place called Ouarzazate, which is kind of south of Marrakesh. And the reason we went there was we stopped off kind of first port of call at this unbelievable place called the Noor Power Station, which, as you may be able to see, some like if you go and look at some of my socials, you'll be able to see some of the pictures. We'll put them on the 50 to 70 Instagram at 50 to 70. And this whole site is like literally something out of a Bond villain's evil lair kind of thing.
Yeah, if you've seen Quantum of Solace, it's that.
Yeah. This is proper crazy stuff. So it's a huge solar energy station that they have just outside Ouarzazate, and it is literally just bonkers how big this thing is. It's around it's a couple of thousand acres of solar panels, and they do kind of various different types of solar panels. But the really spectacular thing is they're all numbered, and is the Noor 3, and this is this huge, massive tower. It's 820 feet high, filled with molten salt. I mean, we're already getting into evil, despicable Bond villain plans.
And a man came out to greet us, and he was bald and had a cat.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, so they've got this big, huge, massive tower, which you can see from almost anywhere when you're there. This huge thing that is so bright, it is literally like shining an LED torch directly into your eyeball anytime you look at it. The reason it is that is because all around it, in like this huge circle, are these heliostats, which is one of those amazing, lovely words. But basically, each of these are giant mirrors that reflect the sun's rays, focus it on this point and this tower, and it's just bonkers to see. But then when you get up close to them, you realize how fucking enormous these things are. Like each of these big kind of mirrored arrays is like a tennis court, and they've got 7,400 of these. So it gives you an idea of the scale of this place. It's fucking huge. And basically they move like every 2 minutes, and like you're standing there, and it's weird because there wasn't like a hint of a breeze. You're standing there, and then every kind of 2 minutes, you just hear these like things like grrr, grrr, and they're moving these massive arrays by like 1 or 2 degrees, because they're kind of like mechanical sunflowers. So they're following the sun around all the time to point all the light at this one big tower, which, as I said, is full of molten salt, which then that goes circled around, heats water that's inside, that generates steam, that generates that spins turbines, that generates electricity. So that's how it all works. I won't bore you with the whole science of it, but like to give you an idea, this thing makes enough electricity for about 2.3 million homes. It's on a big
Mud
scale.
homes or regular homes?
Regular homes. And we did calculate it as well, that we reckon you could charge, I think we worked out like something like 7,500 Enyaqs a day on this thing. It's like, it would be very easy to charge.
But how quickly could you charge one Enyaq?
Yeah, well, we did wonder about that, but I reckon if you plugged an Enyaq directly into this, your Enyaq would be in low Earth orbit very, very quickly. So, but yeah, it's just massive. It generates like 150 megawatts of energy, just this one part of a bigger power station. Just bonkers. You can only do it in this, and actually you'll see, like when you look at it, you notice like on either side of it there's like bright balls of light, because what actually happens is it gets too hot and they can't have all of them shining they're focusing the rays at the tower all at once, so they kind of have to take turns. So then like either side of it you have this really bizarre effect that looks like 2 orbs of bright light on either side of the thing, and anytime anything goes through that, it gets instantly vaporized. So like every so often you're standing there and you just see this puff of white smoke and whatever it was drop down, like dust particles, anything. I was like, do birds fly through it? And the guy was like, look around. There are no more birds here. So Yeah, it's but yeah, it like this thing gets insanely hot. Like you can't comprehend how hot this is. But yeah, fascinating to kind of do. But anyway, I'm kind of like this is I had the biggest nerdgasm, like just looking at all this sort of stuff, and they were showing us how it all works, and it's amazing. And obviously in Morocco you can do this kind of thing because you get bucket loads of sunshine all year round. But yeah, it was really, really cool to see. But that was kind of just like, oh, while you're here, have a look at this. We did have a ton of driving to do, and the roads, like I was saying, some of the roads there, if you have not ever been to Morocco, you should go because it is actually quite a nice country. And they're also still recovering from a pretty devastating earthquake there. So spending any money there would be very good as a tourist. But from a driving perspective, Cormac, there are some bloody epic roads there.
Yeah, heading up the Atlas Mountains it looks like some pretty good road spaghetti.
It is. And there's nothing around. But then suddenly there are parts of it that are 3 and 4 lanes wide, going all the way up the hill, up the mountains, or the Atlas Mountains, and there's nobody around, and there's no speed cameras, there's no speed traps, and there's none of this kind of stuff, and it's just like driving Mecca, like just go and enjoy it. We did like find that they were starting to drop down on the old charge a little bit on the old range as we were climbing up. But then the beauty of it is the Atlas Mountains are so big, as soon as you get to the top, you just start going down the other side and your range just shoots right back up again.
And then you have a brave challenge of who's not going to touch the brakes.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, we're using the old regen a little bit more, but it's, oh man, the roads there are just phenomenal. They really, like, I'm back there next month doing a big road trip with Mazda, and that should be really, really looking forward to that as part of our Epic Drive series. But
yeah, if you see Morocco as just desert sand and, kind of mud colored scenery, look at our pictures and look at other pictures.
Yeah.
And some of it is that.
Absolutely.
It doesn't come from nowhere. But then there is just all the rest of this scenery, which is incredible. The mountains, you don't naturally associate Morocco with mountains. They're huge. Incredible, amazing roads around it. Last year, Sam, Seen Through Glass, he took his 360 on a trip down to Morocco, and I remember watching the videos and just going, wow, these are not at all the road you go, oh, going to be on some dusty trails there. No,
that's
were
what
amazing
roads.
roads.
You would think that. And that's the thing, we were driving around going, these are like, and we were just on normal road tires as well, actually. So it was, again, like another nod of confidence that they're like, you're not getting off-road tires. You're on normal road tires.
The man hadn't came out that day and put the sand down on the road.
Yeah, and it was absolutely like no problem. But the road, like the only thing I reckon is either they're phenomenal at building roads, or because it's so hot and so dry that you don't get that kind of harsh winter thing, and it's like, oh, that's breaking up the road.
Freeze-thaw action.
Onion weathering, as your geography school days might call you. So yeah, so we did that. We drove all the way down past like the Atlas Film Studios and all that kind of stuff where they make loads of like big movies, and then we went all the way out into, literally right out into the edge of the Sahara Desert. And we were in sand. We got to try out the sand mode, which thankfully did work pretty well. We had the all-wheel drive versions of the Enyaq, so it was no problem. And we had a campsite set up out in the Sahara Desert. And then at night in the Sahara, it is unbelievable what you see when you look up.
Did you have a generator?
Do we have a generator?
For the cars?
No, we didn't.
So you are, for all intents and purposes, alone.
Yes.
Solo in Enyaqs.
Yes.
Just a camp of Enyaqs.
Yeah. We left Ouarzazate and we got to the camp and we had 49% left in the battery.
Okay, just in case anyone's thinking that, oh yeah, no, the lovely Sahara scenescape, everyone's in bivouacs.
Yes.
And
there's an enormous diesel jetty out the back charging the car. No, we didn't. That was the thing. It was actually because we knew it was quite a distance and we weren't really sure, but also we weren't nursing the cars at all. We were just driving. I mean, at one point we were maybe doing 130 kilometers an hour on a very nice stretch of road.
Allegedly.
But we got there. We weren't doing anything. We had the aircon on. There was no
Nursing or special
hypermiling or
treatment.
none of that kind of stuff at all. It was absolutely fine. There was no issue at all. We got there, like I said, we 49%, and then we were going back anyway, back into stay in a hotel in one of the cities, and then that would have been fine. So we charged them when we were in there. So that was that. But yeah, it was absolutely no problem. But the sky over our camp was literally when you open up that double page spread in National Geographic and it's a feature on the Milky Way. That's what that looked like. It was just, there is no, because you're so far from civilization, there is no light pollution. There's nothing. It's just, you're in the middle of nowhere. And the weirdest thing was, the next morning I got up and it was amazing sunrise. The sky was lava, then it was orange, then it was purple. It was just nuts. And there was not, literally it was like being inside a room. There was no breeze. It was dead still and no sound at all other than literally camels and whoever was getting up and making a bit of noise, getting out of their very fancy glamping tent that we were staying in. And that was it. Spectacular. But then, so we drove back then. Big long drive. We went back into Wazette. We did that. We charged the cars there, and then we drove all up to Marrakesh. And again, it's just everywhere. The roads are just phenomenal. But on that stretch from Wazette to Marrakesh, you go along kind of the base of the mountains, through these valleys, and obviously there's rivers there and stuff like that. And suddenly it's all just green palm trees and lush greenery, and it's hang on. Where are we? It's just this scenery changes all the time. But I want to go back to the camp for a minute because we met this incredible duo who also have an Enyaq, coincidence. So Renske Cox and Martin van Pell, they spent the last 13 months driving their Enyaq from the Netherlands, their homeland, to South Africa and back. And then after they got back, Skoda were oh, could you come down on this event with them? They drove back to Morocco again. But they've this really cool kitted out Enyaq that they just wanted to go on an adventure. But they're how can you go on an EV, to do this kind of trip in an EV? Can you do it? So they basically modified the car. They got solar panels on the bonnet. They've got a cool roof tent. They got water tank inside where the rear seats would normally be, so they can have fresh water, showers, and all this, and loads of stuff. But they also have this phenomenal 60 square meter solar array that they set out every single night or whenever they want to charge, and they just charged the whole car. Pretty much most of their trip, they just did it off the sun, and that was it.
Which is pretty cool.
Which is the best way to charge an EV is off the sun.
Difficult here.
Yes, yeah. In Ireland, not so easy.
If you're going to visit someone, it might take a month or two to get charged. But very, very cool. And also kind of it throws range anxiety out the window.
Yeah.
When you just go, this is what I'm going in, and this is how I'm going to do what I'm doing. And obviously, it's different to a commute because you can, take longer or time when you need to. But you're going to the Sahara. There isn't a man waiting there with a truck to bring you back, should it not go your way.
Exactly.
Your phone isn't connecting to pretty much anything out there.
Yeah.
And yet, still relying on battery EV power.
Yeah, yeah.
And the sun.
And the sun, and that was it. And so we did and actually I did a video with them that's going to go up on the Complete Car YouTube channel, kind of like a tour of their whole setup and how they have, what they did, because this wasn't like them in association with Skoda. They just literally went out, bought an Enyaq, and did the mods, figured out what was what. They got a couple of partners involved with the solar thing. The solar setup is actually really cool that they have. And they would just sort of find, they'd go, okay, well, we're going to stop here for the night, and they'll set up a camp, and then they just put them all out. They charge for a day or half a day, and then
Which isn't a big deal because, you know, when you're doing a camping lifestyle, you pull up and you build your site anyway.
Exactly.
This is an extra 2 or 3 minutes of building an extra part.
Yeah.
And it charges in the background while you are making food, reading, whittling a stick.
Like this wasn't like this was not a this was them kind of going on an adventure. They weren't like, oh, we have to, you know.
It's more like them coming along going, let's see how they do it.
Yeah. And
oh look, you have toilets. That's cute.
Yeah. Like they said it took them about 15 minutes to set the whole thing up to start charging. So it's not really that long at all.
No.
And
in a camping life environment, that is no time.
Yeah, I mean, you are an experienced camper. You know,
we didn't have any solar panels in the Scouts. My Range Rover doesn't have any solar panels.
No,
it barely has panels.
Yes. And yeah, they had everything. I mean, they had a Starlink Wi-Fi connection, the whole lot.
There's no slumming it in this.
Yeah,
you know, you're in an EV. It's modern. It's quick. It's got plenty of features, and you've got Starlink, and it charges kind of wherever you're set up.
Yeah,
and you can feel kind to the environment that you are in.
Yes,
should that be a priority to you as well?
Yeah. Now they did in some places where there were chargers. They did in like some of the cities. They did use the chargers as well, or they plugged it in sometimes into mains and did
not
that.
sure if it's fair to dock marks for that.
Absolutely not docking marks at all. But just so people. But like, yeah, they really like they just did a really really cool cool adventure. They've done stuff on YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Check them out because it's a super cool idea. I would love to do something like that, but like they took 13 months to do this.
Yeah, so the next time you think 300 kilometers of range isn't enough to go where you need to go,
you can absolutely do it. So like, yeah, just EVs will go further than you think, and that is like that's kind of the ultimate thing, you know. Like it is just it's so easy to do these things now. I'll be honest, like probably I would say 5 years ago, this kind of trip, I would have been like, I'm not so sure about this. You know, this is like, this doesn't sound great.
It's no secret that I'm not yet sold on EVs.
Yeah.
But I do very much enjoy and encourage anyone to try and break the mold and, you know, push the boundaries a little bit and see what can happen. So I support their endeavor totally. I think it's cool what they're doing. Doesn't mean I'm going to buy one, but doesn't mean that I don't like what they're doing.
But you wouldn't do it? No? Wouldn't be for you?
I would do that adventure.
Yeah.
But would I employ one as my daily? Absolutely not.
No. Okay, that's fair enough.
But give me that setup, and I'm not going to look down on it because it's an EV. In some regards, you can go out for longer should you have enough food supplies, water supplies.
Sure.
You know, I can only carry so many jerry cans on top of all the other stuff that I already have. Yeah. Their fuel source folds out.
Yes.
That is a huge advantage when you're doing something like that.
One thing that Martin said to me as well was that the beauty of doing it with an EV, an adventure like that, is electricity doesn't get contaminated. You don't get dodgy electricity. You know, like, and that's the thing. You kind of think
snails in your electricity.
Yeah, like, yeah. Snails that's a story for another time.
One day we will mention snails, and this will all make sense.
But yeah, but that's the beauty of it. You don't have to worry about, is it 95, is it lower, or whatever. Is it going to make my engine run funny or whatever? Like, it's just that's it. It just works,
there's not really too much maths involved. Like, you know, if we're doing that in a combustion vehicle, we're going, okay, well, I've got 80 litres in my tank and I'm carrying 50 litres on the roof. Therefore, I have a cruising range of X or Y, assuming I don't get stuck anywhere and have to use more throttle or something like that. And so you can do your maths on that. Whereas with this, if you don't have a set destination that you need to be at, you can go, okay, I'm going to go till I need to charge, and when I need to charge or have lunch, I'm going to stop. I'm going to put out this. So it has its benefits.
Yeah, definitely. Like, do check it out as well. You can follow, like, go look for them on the internet. It's 4x4 electric. They're on, you know, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. They did 38 countries, 38,000 kilometers in an EV, all the length and breadth of Africa.
Yeah. And you can sit there and go, oh, Wouldn't be for me, no. And
Yeah.
that's fine, as long as you accept that A, it's cool, and B, it's brave.
Absolutely. So yeah, give the guys a follow and they are also I gotta say they are the nicest people as well.
They're Dutch, of course
cool.
they are.
Of course they are. I know, but they're just super cool.
Oh,
So,
they're Dutch. It's one step short of. Oh, we went to South Africa and back on a cargo bicycle,
yeah.
planting flowers along the way.
But then from Morocco, we then switched climates and went to St. Moritz.
We did.
And
we flew into.
It wasn't the most It was
Depends
successful.
which way you look at it.
Yeah, it was definitely for me. It was a glass half full event. So
We flew into Zurich,
yeah,
where it was lovely and temperate and warmer than
very
Dublin.
nice. Yes,
And we first grabbed a quick look around a Microlino,
which is
it is a micro EV car, along the same lines as the Citroen Ami, but this brought you from Micro Mobility Solutions, which is the company that about 20 years ago gave us all the Micro Razor scooter, for which
remember those.
yeah, everyone shins remembers them.
Do you know? I never had one.
Well, there's other factors that play there. we get your mother down here and ask why. The rest of us who did have micro scooters, the dents in our bones and our legs will know exactly what that is. Anyway, not satisfied with just mobilizing children and smaller children now. You see them all on their pink scooters going to Montessori. They decided, why not make a car?
It's a hell of a pivot.
Maybe it's pepper grinders next.
Yeah.
So being unequivocally Swiss, they did a study and found that most people's return commutes were under 30 kilometers and on average had, again Swiss, 1.6 people
Yes.
per journey. So they said, okay, it can be small and it can be condensed and it can be EV. So they built this, and it is a modern interpretation of the BMW Isetta bubble car visually.
Yes.
You look at this and only one thing will come to mind. It is an Isetta. And it, little 2-seat, very small, very light construction, small range EV. So we hooked up with the guys there and we got one for a couple of hours to go have a look around.
Yeah. it is a car with some flaws.
Mm-hmm.
The electric motor is very loud.
If you've ever been in a classic mini race car with a straight cut gearbox, it is that. It is like your ear is supercharged. The whine of this,
Yeah.
it was strong.
The quicker you go, the more dogs can hear you.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Like setting off, it's kind of the same EV whir that you get from most things. This, it'll do a good 60 or up to 90 kilometers.
It'll do
an hour,
90 kilometers an hour. Yeah.
But we were kind of having it up at 60-ish on this main road, and it was.
That was enough.
Yeah, if you were doing a kind of sustained 60, you'd notice it. And apparently the developers notice it too, because they give you a Bluetooth speaker in every car.
Yes. Yeah. Just
A big one. A
Just
quite
to
big
help
one.
drown that out.
So that was one little flaw. The other flaw was that you can quite easily get stuck in it when the battery decides it needs to be turned off.
Yes.
I will definitely allow that to just be a hiccup with the one we had. We had got a test car.
Yeah.
And it did have a little niggle where we needed to turn it off and back on again.
Yes.
In the process of turning it off and back on again, for that moment, you can't open the door and get out.
There is a sunroof though. So
There's
you're
a
not-
manual
you're not
sunroof.
You're not totally stuck in this.
Again, there'll be
But-
pictures of this,
yeah.
and Dave half escaped through the sunroof.
Yeah.
You could see that. It's cute. It's cool. It's got a aluminium body. It is 2 seats adjoined. It's got like
It's
a
like
bench
a big
seating.
bench seat. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when the screen cinema used to have like a couple's chair. It's kind of like one of those
Yeah,
in the
you
cinema.
need to be close with whoever you're in this
Yes.
car with. it's very ungraceful to get in and out of. There isn't.
I mean,
there isn't a
yes.
cool way to get
No,
in and out.
there isn't.
Especially if there's two of you and the driver needs to get out, you're getting out too.
Yeah.
That's just tough. It is cool. It looks cool. It's sleek. It's a very good interpretation of, or homage, whatever you want to phrase it as.
It is literally like they reinvented the Isetta.
Yeah. And I don't want to call it a new Isetta because it's not. It is its own car. It is the Microlino. But if you are a fan of that design, then you'll love this. Now, I am firmly in Camp Ami still.
Oh, we know.
You will not peel the Ami away from me yet. I still think it outdoes the Microlino for one huge reason, and that is the price.
Yes. So an Ami in France will cost you like what? €6,500
Up to 8 if you're. It depends. There's different purchasing options, but even just say between 6.5 to 8 grand new from day one.
Yes.
That is it. You can lease them for less and all that. But
the one thing with the Ami is that it is also limited to 45 kilometers an hour.
yes, the Ami is a lot slower in both top speed and acceleration. It has a plastic body construction, and its windows flip open, whereas the Microlinos slide back and forth. It has got 2 separate seats that are fixed and don't move, and the entire interior is wiped down plastic. There are no materials. Plastic is the material.
Yes.
The Microlino has got some cloths and fabrics.
There are some soft
there's a headliner.
furnishings. Soft furnishings.
But these come at a cost.
Quite a cost.
Which is?
The car we drove cost €22,500.
Otherwise known as nearly 3 Amis.
Yes. Which is also known as, are you absolutely insane? But then again, this is Switzerland, and there are people that probably...
So this car kind of has an air of, I don't want you to see my G63 in the city centre. I like the Ami because it's just bare bones. It is as minimal and as basic as a car can get. And
the Ami is unapologetic.
It is.
Yes.
And I like when manufacturers go so far into utilitarian with just how basic a car can be while still being interesting. The Microlino is cool. They're both really cool, quirky takes on monopod transport. For me, I think the Ami just hits it that little bit better.
Incidentally, the Ami is also made in Morocco.
What a time.
You could do a factory collection and drive it home. The Ami. My only issue with the Ami, and I love the Citroen Ami, is that 45k top speed, because it's like a hard limit that it hits.
Yeah, it doesn't run out of puff so much as hit a wall.
Oh yeah, it is like, it can drive. When you drive it, it can go. It could go faster.
Is that because it is limited?
It's because of licensing regulations.
Okay, it's for in France, this is known as a voiture sans permis, which is a car without license. So if you're 16, I think you can start with these, or it's 15 or 16. If you're elderly, they previously would drive kind of covered golf carts with headlights. This kind of takes on as a little bit cooler, sleeker way of doing that.
Yeah.
And for people who just kind of need to get to the shops and don't really need a car. And also, I believe if you've been banned from drink driving after a certain number of years, you can have one of these before you get a real car again.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it has to be limited then to
Yes, that's why it is.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I think we just need to figure out a way of how you...
What's the equivalent of a Joe Power map on a Citroen Ami?
It can't be that complicated to do. I did actually speak to somebody I know in Opel in Germany, in Opel, and because they have the Opel Rocks, which is their version of the Ami, and it literally just has a different badge on it. But their engineers have been... There's like a skunk works
Opel
project.
AMG.
Yeah, Opel, and they.
It's not the Opel Rocks by Irmshire, is it?
No, they have made one go quite a lot faster, I believe.
Okay.
So
Did they do what you did with an NAMX5? If you had a Jap one, it was limited to 180k. But if you took the clocks out, there was a little yellow screw. And if you take the little yellow screw out, it's no longer limited.
There you go. Yeah, I'm sure it's probably something that rudimentary could be done. So yeah, that would be good. But anyway, so yeah, the Microlino, like it is a very flawed car. The ride is pretty firm on it, stiff, I would say.
It was fine on the road, but the road was very good.
Yes.
When we had to go over bumps and curbs in and out of car parks, borderline leaving the seat.
yeah. That was the downside to it, and obviously the astronomical price.
The price is a big one because the Ami is basic and it is no frills. It's the Ryanair of personal transport. But you get what you pay for, and you go,
absolutely.
I think it looks cool and it's funky and it gets me around, and it costs, in car terms, nothing.
It is almost a free car.
So you can forgive it for so much for that, especially if you're in and around town where it's meant to be used. If you go, well, I can't get in from, 30 kilometers away. That's when you need a car.
There
or
are other
transport.
solutions available for that.
To spend actual car money for the same experience starts to.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's cool.
It is cool. Overall, it's cool despite its flaws.
Yeah, at the very least, go look at the pictures.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely, and we will have a video.
Yeah, and they look great because it looks like someone's just taken it out of a rendering and plopped it on the road.
Totally,
They look very, very cool. And we actually did see a couple more go past us when we were there and heard them. And
before we saw them,
it's funny. They kind of look like the ghost from Pac-Man just flying past you on the road.
Yeah, super cool. So we did that, and then obviously we were very kindly hooked up with a Volkswagen ID.5 from Volkswagen in Switzerland, and we set off from quite mild and sunny Zurich for the ice in St. Moritz.
Yeah, by the time we'd finished, we spent a couple of hours in the Microlino and then set towards St. Moritz, at which point we'd heard that 2 foot of snow had fell while we weren't looking at our phones.
Yeah.
And that the ice is a concourse, and it's kind of like an ice driving event. It's not quite racing because there's no competition in it, but there is a track on the lake and the cars do go around.
Yes.
So it is a classic car concourse event.
This is like very wealthy individual. It's like when you have a car meet in Dublin here at, Font Hill Retail Park and lads start doing rings in the car park. This is like an extremely wealthy version of that.
Yeah, if
it's
the
a frozen
cars are
lake in St. Moritz, and I'm drifting my 250 short wheelbase multi-million euro classic car around.
Yeah. So look, it's a big get together for everyone to do some willy waving and but it's all in the fun. Everyone dresses up in the tackiest of furs and everything like that.
Ostentatiousness. Yeah.
So this was happening on Friday and Saturday, and we decided to forgo the Friday day of the event.
Because I was being an adult and road testing the Microlino.
Yes, and the Saturday was when more kind of stuff that we were interested in was happening. So we leave and we check online and see that not only has 2 foot of snow fell, but the Friday has been cancelled.
Bearing in mind, this is an event happening in a ski resort, and it's called The Ice.
Yeah. It's happening on a frozen lake. Cold weather is necessary for the event, otherwise it's called the sink. So 70 centimeters, 2 feet of snow fell, and we're heading up there, and they've pulled day 1. They're trying what they can to do day 2, and they are still holding the concourse judging in a underground car park that they have reserved for these cars to be well lit and judged and everything. So we think nothing of it, head up, grand. A couple of hours later, we arrive through St. Moritz. Again, it's not too bad. The snow has gotten deep, but we've made it through, no problem. There's been a couple of slow pokes. Apparently, the Czechs all go skiing in St. Moritz, and none of them have seen snow before.
No.
We were stuck
behind some Czech registered Skoda.
They were only
Octavias
Skodas
and Superbs, and
the Czechs are a huge domestic buyer.
My God, they could not drive at all. I'm sorry to any of my friends, Stepan, all you guys, but Jesus, like you let some people out of the country that you shouldn't let out.
If
of the
you're
country.
checking at home, tune out.
Yeah.
If you're checking in San Moritz last weekend, Jesus Christ.
Get a grip.
So literally, we get through, grand, hotel for the night, cool. Wake up next morning, it's a bit brighter, light snow, and we get up to, that night in the hotel we find out they've pulled day 2. They can't clear the ice event. They can't clear the lake. They can't do anything. They can't guarantee public safety. So they've pulled the event. There's too much snow.
This is now turning into a romantic weekend with me, you, and Killian in Poschiavo.
Yeah, which is Switzerland masquerading as Italy. They speak Italian. The people are Italian, but someone moved the line a few feet across. So it's technically Switzerland. So we head up, decide to see what's going on. Look.
I mean, we've come this far.
We may
as well go to San Moritz.
Let's see what we
and
see.
Pretend to be wealthy.
If no one can get out, then that means the cars are trapped.
Yes.
So we can still at least see metal. So we get up. It takes forever. And there is all sorts of hullabaloo going on. We arrive in to see a classic Ferrari just coming out and around a roundabout and kind of sets the tone of the day. So we park up, don the snow gear, and we start going around. So we headed straight for this car park called the Serletta, which is where all the cars were being held. And we walk up, and unbeknownst to us, they had not been letting people in. There was a huge controversy over there wasn't too much of a contingency plan in place. So when this happened, they just shut everything down. And people with tickets were trying to get into this area. It was the only place where any of the cars were that was in any way official. And they turned everyone away. And we walk up with no notice, with no checking online. We just went, we know where they are. Let's see. In the typically Irish way, I go, sure, we'll give it a go.
We walked in with purpose.
Walked in, flashed the tickets, and next thing you know, we're standing next to a Daytona race car.
Yes.
So straight in, no problem. They looked at tickets, went, on you go. We went, Jesus, this is great. Wasn't until hours later we found out just how fluky that was that we walked in.
We literally had minutes of a window where they were doing this before the whole thing was shut down.
And as if, we knew exactly what we were doing. We just walked straight in. And so we got to see the cars. Some of them had left early already, but most were still in place. The owners and teams that had brought them out were very cool. They were letting people walk around. They had kept them there when they could have brought them away, like some did.
Yeah, there was a lot of goodwill to try and salvage something out of this.
Yeah, and even, we were getting some videos and some pictures, and owners were very, very quick to say, oh my God, I'm so sorry, let me get out a shot. Yeah. These are huge price tag cars, and the owners were very, very cool about people being around them. We had Simon Kidston in his 73 Miura SV. There was a AC Cobra. There were a couple of Renault Alpine race cars. There was a Ferrari 250 California.
275. There was
everything.
There was
all these really cool
top tier stuff. Aston DB4 Zagato, old Maserati race Grand Prix cars, like kind of anything and everything was there.
And if you're trying to picture what all this looks like, fear not. We have a video. We have a walkthrough coming out. We'll go through all the cars. Just watch it and kind of then try place yourself going, this is all in one place.
Yeah.
In an underground, under a hotel, next to a frozen lake, when the cops are outside waving people on.
Yeah.
And you're just in this little world for a couple of moments going, this is insane.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
So we walked through all the cars. That was really cool. We did our thing, got our pictures, got our video, head back outside where it is now bucketing down snow. I said, well, let's don our 15-year-old TikTokers and go car spotting around the place and see what we could see. So we get moving, and it's just a rolling car show. It is, bucketing down snow, truly heavy, flaky snow. If you were looking to go skiing, this was the perfect powder day. It was incredible snow, and there was no shortage of cars on display.
And San Moritz is there's only really like a loop in San Moritz, so People were just driving around all day.
It was a rolling car show. We had a 296 that had a roof box on it that he was advertising his roof box. We moved to town, and you don't know what's coming up next. You can expect the regular Range Rovers and G63s. And then out of nowhere, a Merc 190E Cosworth 2.5 Evo 2 with skis attached to the roof comes around the roundabout. And you just, what? Then there's a Bentley blower. Then there's a roof driven by Aloisa Roof, the daughter of Aloha Roof, the founder. Yeah. And she's smiley as all hell, waving at all of us, fingers out the window, just giving peace signs. You'd have to just take it all in for a second. Yeah. And
there is a bit of a what is this place?
I saw that, and I've seen this, and it's really cool. And then we're come back down the road, and there's this incredible noise. Just sounds like a real big muscle car. It's not. It was a Delage, which is a French car. Mm-hmm. Huge, big, coach-built, boat-tail speedster, roadster type thing. It's believe a D18 roadster is what this is called. And this had been in a collection for many, many years and never driven. And then this comes out with the current owner who drives it to every show. It's been all across the US, and he drives it from place to place. And he's constantly making posts about how the previous owners have missed out on just how sweet this drives.
Yeah. I mean, this thing, for those who don't know, this thing looks like something from The Great Gatsby.
It is huge in every single way. It's got a straight 8. Yeah. Which just sounds amazing. And this is roofless. This is a roadster. Now this car...
And also this guy was in, I'm not going to say period attire, but kind of he was in all the right gear for this thing.
You wouldn't mistake him as the owner of this car.
Yeah.
This car actually ended up winning best in show for the whole event. But it's bucketing snow in the car. Unfazed. Yeah. He's still waving at everyone, letting them see it, letting them hear it. And he's followed by a friend who's driving one of his other cars, which is a Ferrari 212 Ghia body. Again, getting snowed in.
Yeah.
No matter. Yeah. Just driving along.
I couldn't even guess how much that Ferrari is worth. And he's driving it with the roof down in the snow.
Yeah.
People would lose their mind over this.
Yeah. Both of these cars are worth more than a house.
Yes.
And
worth several houses.
They're just there to let people see it. You could see the guy in the Ferrari was getting a little bit cold, a little bit miserable.
He didn't look quite as happy.
He wasn't as happy. But they're still waving. They're still showing these off to people. Such a cool event. We didn't get to do pretty much any of the event. We made our own event.
Yes.
And we pictured it and videoed it as we went. Super cool.
Yes. Also, we have to do a major thanks to Killian, who joined us, who also was an impromptu cameraman for our video. So
Killian did step in. Yeah. Killian is our friend from Cork, who, he came along to take in the event and missed it the same way we did. And we said, well, you're here. Here's a camera. Put him to use. So.
Make yourself useful.
Yeah.
So he did a great job. So thank you, Killian. Well done.
So we do all that, take it in, it gets cold. There's pictures and videos online. There's no way, there's not a podcast long enough for me to tell you everything that happened, and there isn't even a way I can't take it all in. Check out the socials for proper coverage of that.
Yeah, it really was phenomenal. And we're back next year. Despite it being cancelled this year, that's it. We are back next year. I have to go back.
It's so cool. It's so cool. If you've ever been to Monaco and seen cars drive around, it's like that, but then put it on snow and make them 50 years older.
Yes. Yeah. Super cool. Right up there with kind of Monterey Car Week and all that kind of stuff. Really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, and there's always a chance of inclement weather, so you just have to take it on the chin and go, well, we're here, we're going to make the most.
St. Moritz is quite nice as well.
St. Moritz it's pretty nice.
Bloody expensive, but quite nice.
It's expensive, yeah.
Yeah.
So after that, we head back to the airport, and I had to return home for work. However, Dave headed off to Geneva for the Geneva Motor Show.
Yes, the 100th running of the Geneva Motor Show. And, well, let's just say it wasn't really all that good.
You had room to move, did you?
It was not what I would call a sellout show. In fact, I think I did just tweet hashtag RIP Geneva Motor Show, which kind of tells you a bit of an idea of what it's like. But
Stop, he's already dead.
it was a bit like that. But we will touch on that next week because we've bored you to death enough already for this week. But there's actually quite a bit because at the Geneva show, we had the Renault 5 was unveiled, which was quite a big thing. And I actually did sit down with a couple of people from Renault, including Gilles Vidal, who's their chief designer. So there's a lot of cool info to come on that.
Renault are quite hot right now, and it does deserve a good chat about the stuff they've been doing. The Renault 5 has just been unveiled. It is super cool. Baguette holders all around.
Yes.
There's also the new Twingo in the pipeline.
Yes, and I have some
place
information on the new Twingo. And also stay tuned for a full-on Twingo project we might be doing in the near future.
I actually don't think I saw anything from Geneva that wasn't Renault 5 related.
Yeah, it was pretty much the Renault 5 show.
It was the Renault 5 show.
And that was it. There were other things there, and I'll touch on those.
Can't tell you what they are, don't remember,
yes,
no one saw.
And also ran back into Simon Kidston there as well, so I had a little bit of a chat with him. But yeah, we'll fill you all in on that next week. This has been fun as ever. Again, we can't believe this is a free service.
Thank you for listening to our holidays.
Yes, thanks for listening to our holidays. We will be posting lots of pictures, so follow at 50 to 70 on Instagram and all the socials there.
Yeah.
They can follow you on Instagram at
Works Cooper S.
And you can follow me on all the socials at Lord Humphreys. So do check that out. Give us a follow. Remember, please do subscribe to the show. It's a big help to us when you do that. It means you get the next episode automatically downloaded as soon as it comes out. And also a huge thank you to 3FE who sponsored this podcast. Get everything you need from them at 3fe.com or from any of their stores all throughout Dublin and in Ireland. Thank you.
Thank you.